G'day everybody, welcome back to another Power Rankings video on the channel. In this video today we're going to be ranking AFL teams based in current form and who can win the premiership after round 20 of the 2022 AFL season. If you're going to enjoy today's video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe, that'd be much appreciated, and let's get into my Power Rankings. Okay, so with these types of videos, I generally just go individually, 18th to 1st, but because I feel it'll be a bit more efficient with the video, I've decided just to do the bottom 6 just in one whole batch, not trying to be disrespectful for any fans of the particular clubs in my bottom 6, but I just feel like the video would be a bit more free-flowing and people are probably more interested to see the top 12. So yeah, here's my bottom 6. Not really too many changes, of course, throughout the duration of the year. 18th, North Melbourne. Can make a case for maybe swapping West Coast and North, but I just still feel that North are in a bit more of a crisis compared to West Coast list-wise and staff-wise, and both teams are on 2 wins, so yeah, it's hard. I just feel North probably have a bit more worse for the list too. They're an 18th. West Coast not far above them at all. West Coast, again, just a very disappointing season. I know they've had injuries and COVID problems, but just looking now at their list, when you really take away their premiership stars, they just really lack a lot of young talent, and yeah, there's just been a lot of positional problems, a lot of players who just aren't playing great footy. Hard to really find any shining light players over there at West Coast too. I've got them in 17th. 16th spot, GWS. After, their 3-4 games with Mark McVeigh, I really thought they could rise up the power rankings a bit. I had them around 13th or 14th a few months ago. Their first 4 games was good. They were playing that attacking, exciting brand of style. They were scoring high, so there was that upside. But their past 4 weeks, they've averaged, I think, 45 points. They're playing absolutely poor. They're high play, high paid, experienced star players like 𝐓𝐡𝐞 𝐎𝐥𝐿, Kelly and Hopper are just not playing great footy. Tom Green too, you can add in as well. It's just been a really disappointing year for the Giants. They're in 16th. 15th, Adelaide Crows. I'd love to put them maybe a bit more above in the power rankings, but just considering the last 13 games, they've only won 3 games. But their losses, they've played good footy. They've played very competitive. They just haven't been able to sustain it for 4 quarters. But hey, last week, great win against the Carlton. So that's what they can offer. They're a very good pressure side. Really good, just a competitive side. And a few of their high-rated picks, like I'm pretty sure Henry and Fogarty, are really starting to show their form this year. So yeah, maybe they're a team to go on the up next year. Who knows? They're in 15th. 14th, Hawthorn. Again, just a team. I feel like they're a side that's been better than expected this year. A lot of people, including myself, have them for the bottom 2. But first year with the coach, they're still a very young side, I find. And their young players are playing great footy. I think, run by Dylan Moore and John Newcomb, Mitch Lewis, and Sicily still around a middle-aged player. 𝐓𝐡𝐞's playing good too, and Hardwick. I feel like it's quite a bit good balance between veterans and youth players over there with the Hawks. But still, they're in 14th. A lot of losses this year, but still a good year. 13th, Essendon. Really hard to grab a hold on. Their first half of the season pretty much just killed them. But they really could have been 5 in a row. They really should have beaten Collingwood in retrospect. They maybe would be higher up in the power rankings, but just them compared to the top 12, you can't put them in the top 12, Essendon. So yeah, they're probably the best bottom 16 in power rankings, the Bombers. Moving on now to the top 12, and in 12th spot we have Port Adelaide. Still mathematically a chance to make finals, but it's just been a really disappointing year for Port. They've, of course, their own 6 or 0-5 start really did kill their season, but after that, if they broke even with those first 5 games, they really could be in finals contention or be in the 8 as we speak at the moment. But again, just disappointing year. A lot of their games, I think they're 2-7 for games, losing games under 12 points. So they have had that upside this year. They've just been a really good defensive side, really good pressure side, still a very strong contested side. They're top 4 in contested possessions, etc., and clearances. Midfield's been strong this year, but it just seems they've been they're lacking to really put it on the scoreboard at times. Their forward line can fall asleep here or there. The baseline is their own 5-start killed their season, and again, a lot of disappointing performances this year. Close losses again, to Fremantle and Collingwood just before. I've got them in 12th. In 11th spot, I do have the Gold Coast Suns. It's again a bit of a mystery season this year from the Suns. They really looked on track to make the 8. The start of the year wasn't really ideal. They were in the negatives for wins and losses. It's just been a bit more of an inconsistent year for the Suns, but it's probably been, by that 2014 season, their best year. I'm pretty sure Stuart Dew now has his highest amount of wins as head coach of the Gold Coast Suns with 9 and probably counting now. So getting 10 wins for the Suns this year, considering that people had them for last place, is very good. And again, they've just been stuffed by injuries. 𝐼𝐻𝐿𝐴 and 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐴 and Ben King as well. And who's the other? 𝐻𝐻𝐿𝐴. They've been out injured. It's really been hard for them to go up the ladder. But yeah, got them at 11th. They're just a mid-table side this year. In 10th spot, I do have the Western Bulldogs. Again, just a very inconsistent side. Their midfield can win games. We all know that. But then their defense, their forward line is just way too inconsistent. They need more talent there. It's just, again, disappointing year for the Bulldogs. Last few games, of course, I really did feel like they could bring it up to the Demons and win, and they sure did. But it just feels like it's false hope. I still feel they are pretenders. A good chance for the top 8, but I feel like they could be first round exits. But yeah, backline is just too inconsistent this year. That's what's cost them. Midfield, maybe they could offload a bit of talent and bring in, they are expecting Rory Lobb or maybe even a Griffin Logue to help their backline. But yeah, this year, just too inconsistent. A mid-table side for me. Got them in 10th. In 9th position, I do have St Kilda. The same old Saints is the word to describe them. Year after year, they just currently keep on being a bit more of a mediocre side, failing to really grasp for a top 8 position, and their last month of football has shown that. Just, again, just similar to a few teams in this list above them and below them. Very inconsistent, very patchy. They're top 6 players compared to the rest of their list. There's a massive gap. They're a side filled with too many B grades and mediocre players. Talent-wise, Jack Steele, Max King, and Jack Sinclair have had great years, but then who else have you got? They've just been a lot of mediocre players this year. Their method to winning games has been poor. They've just lacked a lot of polish and bull skills throughout their losses this year. Forward line has been way too inconsistent with their inside 50 deliveries. Just a very inconsistent team, and they're a chance for the top 8 still. So, they want to finish strong. They do have a hard run home, so we never know. I just feel like they're one of those sides this year too that have treated this year like a sprint, not a marathon. They started off so well, but they've just gotten a bit more reality check this year throughout the duration of the year, the Saints. So I've got them in 9th. In 8th position, I do have the Richmond Tigers. Really odd side, this one, because I feel looking at their past losses, just the losses that they do occur, they should be winning those games. I feel they're literally the exact opposite of the Magpies. Look at the Magpies, they won 10 in a row, whilst Richmond, their last 8-ish games, they've only lost by, around under 3 kicks or been up by substantial margins throughout periods of games, and they've just gone on to lose. So they're a side with tremendous amount of upside, but, 3 rounds to go. Look at their amount of points on the ladder. They really can't progress too much. So I feel like they're probably maybe the best chance to make the 8. But we never know. And again, they're a side with very good mix between veterans and youth, I do feel. Their chemistry has worked well this year. They've just been struggling to really sustain their pressure throughout 4 quarters. And yeah, I've got them at 8th because given their losses, they really could be higher up. In 7th position, we've got the Carlton Footy Club. Shame to see them down here. It was all beer and skittles after round 10. I'm pretty sure they were 9-1. Vying off a top 4 position, but then again, it's a long season, and because they haven't really had much experience in the top 8 and finals wise, they just tend to drop off a bit. They're known for their pressure and they're just a high intensity kind of play, and they're dominating midfield, but their past month, it's really started to slip off. It wasn't the most convincing performance against the Giants, obviously just got spanked by the Cats. Typical win against the Eagles, but then just look at that performance against the Crows. That is a really, really poor loss, and that's a season-defining loss in my eyes, because their next 3 games is very difficult. They do have Lions away, Demons away, or at the G, and then the Pies to finish it off. If they lose all 3 games, do they make the 8? That's how, much the cookie has crumbled for the Carlton Blues. Just a whole tempo of change. They've become more of a, a bit more of an arrogant side. I'm pretty sure what Kane Corns did say, that is very true. When looking at the play, they just cannot stick their tackles. They've lost their pressure. They've just lost a lot of defensive efforts as well. So I feel like they will still make finals, but, they've shown good performances this year. So can they pull it off in their remaining 3 games? That is the main question for the Blues, and I do have them in 7th. In 6th spot, I do have the Freo Dockers. Compared to Carlton and St Kilda, quite similar sides. They started tremendously well. Fremantle was seriously a flag chance. At the halfway point of the season, they were looking sweet in the top 4. The balance in their side was so good between offense and defense. Their role players were playing terrific. Bailey Banfield and Blake Acres and James Aish across the wing playing that tagging role. The back 6 is looking awesome too. But then, they're starting to get a bit of a reality check. The past month, losses to the Swans and gotten spanked by Carlton away, and really should have lost to Richmond, and then just maybe a season-defining loss against the Demons. now it pulls them back to 6th position on the actual AFL ladder. And there's a few concerns now for Freo. I think maybe their top 4 chances are done. It's going to be an interesting last 3 rounds for Freo. Can they continue that, that backline kind of groove? Because their defense has been awesome this year, but it's just been found out. I feel like on the transition, they've been burnt by a few teams. They haven't been able to man up, and a few teams have really unlocked their blueprint into unlocking their defensive zoning defense. And of course, the main thing as well, their method towards goal, they just don't seem to have one at the moment. They're just a very poor, slow build-up side. Compared to the start of the year, they were attacking, they were exciting, they took the game on. They don't show that anymore. They just continually bomb it down the line. And against the Demons, we saw, Demons play just with an easy intercept. So yeah, Freo, interesting last 3 rounds. Can they get a win? Who knows? They're at 6 at the moment. In 5th position, I do have the Brisbane Lions. Yeah, it's just a very patchy team once again. We thought they were going to be a lock for top 4 at the start, or the halfway point of the season, but just things change, and the last, 2 months have just not been, the side of the Lions that we know. Home away season, they usually dominate. They're just such a good midfield group on paper. The defense is usually very strong, but so far, their defense has been very patchy. I think they're 14th or 15th or 13th, around mid-table for opposition defensive scores inside 50. So that means every time the ball's going inside 50, there's a high chance compared to other clubs that it's going to be a goal against the Lions. Defense is just struggling quite a bit, in my opinion. And they have a look at them. They're up by 40, 50 points. Their forward line, when their forward line gets working, and when they start hitting the scoreboard, midfield starts connecting, they're a very dangerous side. But then the defense just fell asleep in that second half against the Tigers. And it was like a 60-point turnaround. They ended up losing the game. And just question marks on Brisbane now. I don't know if they can win the flag. If they won that game, they can win the flag. If they don't win that game, they maybe can't, because they're just not good enough interstate, I feel. So I do have the Lions at 5th. In 4th position, I do have the Collingwood Magpies. They're just the biggest mystery side in the competition this whole year. No one was expecting them to go 10 wins in a row, and as much as it's good, you still don't know if they can win the flag or not. They're the hardest team to grab a hold on, because if you pull their 10 wins in a row away and look at their 10 wins individually, they haven't been the most, the substantial, convincing wins that you'd like to see for a top 4 side. A few of those games, if you take half of those games, they're games that they really could have lost, but nevertheless, let's talk about the positives, because the way they win their games, they have full belief. They're a side that just balls it. They're attacking, they're excited to watch. They're a side I find personally that they don't know how far they can go. It's just a huge mystery side, this Pies side. They're 17th last year. Look at them, top 4 now. Again, just their pressure and their first to the footy kind of ability. The defense has been very strong, very underrated backline. I think Murphy has been very good. Howe too, maybe in the All-Australian talks. Of course, Moore too. The young players as well really starting to step up. The 𝐓𝐡𝐞 brothers in All-Australian form. A few of the latest recruits like us, Johnson and Carmichael's been great too. It's just a very exciting footy club. And I feel like they have, nothing to lose, the Pies, because no matter if they lose their games, they've still had a terrific year. They're on track to maybe winning a final, but who knows? If they can win their next 3, their biggest test is their next 3 games against the Swans, against the Demons, and against the Blues. So if they can win all 3, heck, if they make the top 4, they can win the flag. It's simple as that. But yeah, mystery team, I still find the Pies. But 10 in a row, you can't go wrong with that. They're in 4th. In 3rd position, I do have the Sydney Swans. Their month, they've just changed themselves from, a questionable team. Can they, bolster their way up the ladder and make a threat in finals, to a top 4 looking side. Their win against Fremantle was season defining, and now they've gotten, because of their easy run home, they convincing win over Adelaide, to smash against the Giants, and they do have North Melbourne next week, the Pies, and then St Kilda finishing it off. They're the best chance to finish top 4, and wow, are they playing great footy. I still feel they're sort of under the radar. I'm pretty sure they're like top 3 or top 4 in pressure. Their pressure has really dialed up. They are building very nicely at the moment. The Swans starting to hit that win streak around this period of time of the year. They're building momentum, playing great footy. Their forward half has been elite. Their pressure inside 50 has been awesome. The balance as well between defensive attack is, I think, top 2 or top 3 as well. Just, they're going awesome at the moment. The Swans building nicely, playing great footy, threat for top 4 and potentially the flag. I've got them in 3rd. In 2nd position now, and I do have the Melbourne Demons. They were questioned for a month or 2. Could they make the 4 still? Hard run home, but then that win against Fremantle just shows the competition that they're still here for a flag contention in top 2, of course. Of course, we do know first is Geelong, but just going over the Demons, again, question if can they make the top 4? Their forward half was just playing very inconsistent footy. Ben Brown was patchy. Bailey Fritsch was known as selfish. 𝐼𝐴 was a bit patchy as well. Midfield was getting kind of torn apart. Their defensive efforts were just getting exposed. They weren't track backing and showing enough accountability in defense. But they tightened up against the Dockers. They play, as we know, very strong defensively. They played their spare man. They played, to Fremantle's ability. They bombed it down the line. They're always there for the intercept mark. And of course, the side's still on paper to make a threat for the flag. Midfield is still very strong. If their forward line can get working, if Bailey Fritsch and 𝐼𝐴 can get in the end of stuff, if their wingmen like James Jordan and then Ed Langdon can really link up, they're a very strong side still. And of course, the midfield, 𝐸𝐸, 𝐼𝐴, you can't go wrong with that. And the back line too. Again, a bit patchy this year, but when it gets going, they're just a very strong side on firing across all cylinders, the Demons. And of course, I've got them in the top 2. And as expected, at first we do have the Geelong Cats. Haters can say all they want about, can they do it in finals? But still, are they a different side to what we've seen the past few years? They are playing a lot more attacking, bold kind of play compared to their control kind of technique. The side that just has the most chemistry at the moment. Every single player is playing great footy. Across from defence to their forward 6. Everything's just working so well. Their role players like Brad Close and Tom Atkins and Mark Blitzarves. They're players that generally, they're not like the exciting high profile kind of players. They're just your mediocre kind of above average names. But they've really stepped up, shown that, when everybody's firing all cylinders, you can finish minor premiers and beat any team in the competition at the moment. It does seem. Of course, got a bit of scare against the Bulldogs, but the way they clawed back, their attacking brand, it's just everything's looking very good at the Cats. And of course, the question still remains, can they go and win the flag? I think they're the team to beat at the moment. The Cats, of course, convincingly beat the Demons, so I think they're up there to make a grand final and potentially win a flag, the Cats. So yeah, everybody, there were my power rankings, and to be fair, when you compare them to the AFL ladder, it is quite similar, okay? But, the question is, what would you change? I feel like that is pretty accurate. Yes, close to the AFL ladder, but yeah. Anyways, there's my power rankings after round 20. So everybody, hopefully you did enjoy today's video. Make sure to leave a like and subscribe. That'd be much appreciated. Feel free to comment down below. Love to hear your fellas' thoughts on my power rankings, and feel free to comment down yours below of your power rankings, or who would you change in maybe my top 8 or top 4. Once again, fellas, thank you very much for watching today's video, and until next time, I'll talk to you later. See you later, fellas.